Everybody, Janet here at the 4-H office. With the warm weather, it brings us to flip-flop season, and I am a big fan of flip-flops. So today what I want to do is show you how to dress up a dollar store pair or just a plain pair, maybe an older pair that's kind of looking their age, of flip-flops and how to turn them into something fancy. So we're going to go from ordinary to extraordinary in 30 minutes. What you'll need for today's project: a ruler. I have a measuring tape as well. I have a pair of fabric scissors, specifically for fabric that we haven't used to cut cardboard or paper or anything else. You'll need your choice of fabric. I have some sparkly rainbow clover fabric for my flip-flops and one pair of flip-flops that fit you. They can be plain, they can be patterned, whatever you want. Any sort of flip-flop will work for this. So to begin with, what we need to do is actually measure the length of the band that goes across our foot to figure out how long that is so that we know the right size of our fabric to cut. So I'm just going to take my measuring tape because it's pliable and I can bend it and just go right along so I get the right length. So the length of my flip-flop band is approximately 6 inches. So I'm just going to write that down. I need a 6-inch piece. We're actually going to make them 6 inches wide as well. I will need 2 pieces for each flip-flop, so I need to cut 4 6x6 pieces. Now to do that, if you have an adult, you can use a rotary cutter to do that with, like when you're quilting. I'm actually just going to use my scissors and my pen to mark everything out and to cut my pieces. So to do that, move everything out of my way, flip the fabric over to the back side so I can draw some lines. Probably be good to have a pen too. Assuming that your line is actually straight, which you can check that with a bigger ruler. So I'm just going to simply mark 6, do my little dash marks again so I can connect them and have a straight line. So once I get that, I'm actually going to connect everything. All right, then I said I also needed it 6x6, so now I need to figure out 6 inches the opposite way. Do my little dashes again. Now this is a great activity because anybody can decorate their flip-flops. It doesn't matter what size flip-flop you have either, you just cut the fabric to the dimensions of basically your foot. So I'm going to get cutting on this, get my 4 squares cut out, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I have 4 pieces cut out to make my fabulous flip-flops. And you may have a rectangle. I do have a square based on my foot size and the length of the strap of my flip-flop that I measured earlier. So I'm simply going to fold my material in half. If you have a rectangle, fold it long ways. If you have a square, just fold it in half. And then what you're actually going to do from the end side is just make some marks. If you want to be precise, we're going to cut 1/2 inch strips to approximately 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch from the center. So feel free to mark that off if you don't want to eyeball it. So every 1/2 inch, I'm just going to make a mark. All right. And you're actually going to cut through both sides of the fabric. I'm actually drawing on the wrong side so that you can't see the marks on the right side. So I'm just going to measure 1/2 inch down. Not necessarily draw a whole line, just kind of a little dotted line so I know where to stop. You'll do this 4 times on each of your pieces of fabric. If your pen doesn't work on your fabric, try a pencil. You could try a Sharpie marker as well. And don't feel like you have to just choose one fabric. You can choose several different types if you want. You could actually do 2 or 3 different kinds and actually tie them in amongst each other, which would look really cool. So I'm simply going to cut 1/2 inch strips to approximately 1/2 inch from the center, going through both layers of fabric. You'll want to repeat this for all 4 pieces. Alright, so that you have something that looks like this, very fringy. We're just going to open it up, flip it so that you have the right side showing. So let's get to work. We'll finish this and I'll show you the next step. So now we're going from ordinary to extraordinary as we tie our fringe on. One thing to note, if you wanted less cutting and actually wanted to cover the toe band part that goes between your big toe and your second toe, if the plastic flip-flops kind of make your toes a little uncomfortable, you could actually do one whole piece, which in my case would be 12 by 6, and you could actually tie around this. Not to say it's too late, you can still do that with a couple extra little strips, but just something to think about while you're tying. So we're simply going to take our fabric, whoop, put it right through like this, so that the center of the fabric that's not cut is centered on our flip-flop band, and we're just going to start tying. Like so. And we're just going to kind of turn it a little bit to the outside so that we're not stepping on our fringe, and we're actually going to tie all the way around it. You want it nice and tight so that you don't come undone. If you're afraid that your ties, your single knot ties, will come undone, feel free to put 2 in. And we're just going to continue on up around the whole band of our flip-flop, just tying little knots to decorate our flip-flop. You may have to keep turning it and twisting it a little bit, because as you put your knots in, it's going to start pulling your fabric one way or the other. So kind of think about that. If you want, come up to the other end, kind of anchor it. If you do choose to do 2 different colored fabrics, you can actually wrap the 2 of them on here together and start tying. So I'm going to finish tying this flip-flop while you guys are working on yours. We have gone from ordinary to extraordinary. This is one of my flip-flops that I have done. I will be finishing the other one. Now, if you like your straps a little bit thicker, or if you want to add that secondary color, feel free to do so. To make your fringe a little bit thicker, you'll just cut maybe an inch strip instead of 1/2 inch, and then have fewer ties, but they will be thicker. You can do that as well, but here is my ordinary to extraordinary flip-flop. If you enjoyed this activity, please feel free to join us online, Chenango County 4-H on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. You can also find our 4-H website under Chenango County Cooperative Extension. Have a great day and happy crafting.